My name is Benton Stokes. I'm a former fundamentalist, post-evangelical worship leader, and songwriter. I enjoy wry Manhattans, roller coasters, and road trips, just not all at the same time.
I'm Elane O'Rourke, and I'm a teacher, an author, and a spiritual coach. I was a philosophy professor and a liberal pastor in a couple of former lives, and these days I love aha moments and not-so-dry martinis.
We have conversations about life and God with a queer perspective, over cocktails, like you. This is Cocktail Theology.
I saw the ingredients on the table.
Yes.
I'm a little nervous.
Maybe you should be.
So the color's beautiful.
It is. It's really pretty.
So what is this we're about to drink?
I'm calling this the junk drawer.
The junk drawer.
Yeah. So it is Tanqueray gin.
Okay.
It is equal parts sweet and dry vermouth.
Okay.
It's a tiny bit of triple sec.
Okay.
And Peychaud's bitters.
Peychaud. Okay. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's pretty good.
That is pretty good. I think you even could have added, more triple sec.
I think so. It's got a little bite to it.
I like it. It's kind of like a soft, perfect martini.
Oh, yeah.
But the orange, I like the orange. Mm-hmm. Like a drop of orange blossom water or some orange bitters to go with the Peychaud. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, this is almost gone. That's a shame.
That was fast.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been a long few months. Anyway, so yeah. So help me with the junk drawer.
Yeah,
thing.
So I was thinking today about how often in our studies, and we're not the only ones to use this analogy, but how the Bible is a bookshelf. Mm-hmm. The Bible is...
We are the only people.
...is not a book, but a shelf of books.
Copyright 2008, Elane O'Rourke.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, go ahead.
But how, if you treat the Bible like it's a singular book and read cover to cover with just the same frames of reference, the same perspective, the same length, the same all of it, that you're going to miss
Everything.
Yeah. Well, I thought similarly... Theology.
Oh, okay.
Theology is not carefully curated. It's more like a junk drawer than it is a museum case.
Okay, say more about that. Help me out a little bit more with the analogy.
Okay. I think about myself and my theology. Now, I don't want to... I won't speak for anybody else right now. I'm only going to speak for myself.
Do you recognize yourself in Benton?
You probably will. Started with a very sort of, as a kid, a very fundamentalist teaching in theology, some of which I understood, some of which I probably didn't fully grasp.
And that's the external theology.
Yes.
What people were teaching
were teaching me.
Okay.
Some of that sunk into me. Some of that became the ways that I viewed God and the world and myself.
Sure.
Some of those views I outgrew. Many of those views I outgrew over time. Some as soon as leaving high school and going into college. And I started at a Christian college affiliated with that denomination, but left that school and went to a state school, which radically changed the way I saw myself in the world and radically changed how I started viewing people outside my tiny little circle who I had viewed as odd or, even sinful. It's like I get to know these people. I'm like, wait a minute, why did I think that about these people?
Right.
My view broadens exponentially. And then I start attending a Bible study with about 150 other kind of college-age people, led by a Presbyterian pastor, which then kind of broadens my view and understanding of what grace is and what it means to be loved and accepted by God in a much bigger way than I had experienced before that. And then sort of meandered through sort of a soup of various bits and pieces of these ideas, really until we started working together.
Right.
And at that point, a lot of the things that I had learned back in the... Why are you laughing?
I'm sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
And then a lot of the things that I had learned, really, particularly during that Presbyterian Bible study, some of that stuff started to click, and I started to experience some of that differently.
Right.
Through all that, add coming out, add being a dad, add divorce, add learning how to be gay in the world, and all of those other complexities. So fast forward to here, and now I look back on that, and I have grabbed hold of bits and pieces of all of that.
Oh, sure. Okay.
To bring me here.
Okay.
And I consider all of it to be important to varying degrees and defining in varying degrees. If you tried to put that on a gallery wall, you'd have, kindergartner stick drawings next to Norman Rockwell, next to Rothko, next to, it would be this crazy mix of things. And so it makes me think like a junk drawer is a lot more like that, where you open up the junk drawer and you got, masks left from COVID, and you've got batteries, and you've got...
Okay, people, I feel the need to say, we do not own this junk drawer. Okay? So I'm just I don't know why I'm getting defensive right now, but I'm getting defensive. So all right, sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's like these crazy things that all end up in this drawer that are all like things that you've picked up and that have been useful maybe at some point.
Yes.
And that you think might be useful again, which is why you haven't thrown them away. It's why they're in the drawer. Most of us, if we've been on any kind of journey with our theology, and if our faith has meandered at all, our theology is going to look more like that.
Right.
Than a very neat, arranged, coordinated, display in a case, in a museum.
No, I love the way you just described that. And the reason I was laughing earlier about how, it had been like this until we started working together was I thought, oh, this is such a wonderful expanding of Benton's experience. He's growing in all these ways, and then we meet. Dun, 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 dun. That's the way I heard it. That's why I was laughing. But I think the junk drawer, that's a really interesting image. What strikes me about that is, just staying with the analogy for a minute, and this may be an unfair use of the analogy, right? But I like the analogy. I was thinking about in actual junk drawers in people's homes, very often it's things you actually will never use again.
Yeah, many times.
So I wonder whether it's more like I really hope that people's theology isn't a junk drawer. I hope that they have utensils they use all the time and a junk drawer.
Yeah, sure,
right?
yeah.
Well, but I want to lift that up.
Yeah.
Because as you were telling the beginning of your story, and you'd gained all of these things, and I can imagine somebody telling it in a different way, where they'd say, you were taught the right way to think, and you went to a school that reinforced that and was good for you, and then you went to secular university. And those liberals taught you all kinds of nonsense about government, about theology, about all those things, and you lost your faith. So I can imagine that somebody telling your story that way.
Sure. Right? I've heard that story.
Right. And we've all heard that story.
Yeah.
But what you're saying about your story is more like you've got the drawer of the things you use all the time. All the time. And then you've got other things. And there are some things in your junk drawer that I bet you actually do pull out and put into your other drawer now more than you used to, because you don't have to reject them as hard.
That's right.
Right? You've been, at least in the last year or so, particularly, I've really seen you reaching back and grabbing hold of older threads and pulling them in and reclaiming them and kind of, I'm mixing my metaphors, but knitting them into the new, blanket that you've got, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be like the way that, most of us don't wear masks all the time, or at least I'll speak for myself. I don't wear a mask all the time, but if I get on an airplane, I'm wearing a mask.
Yeah.
So I'm reaching into my junk drawer to grab the mask because I need it for this thing.
For this thing, right.
Right? So I love the way you just described that, and that for you, the junk drawer of theology, especially as you've been deconstructing and reconstructing, the junk drawer means that you're not using it all together at the same time.
Right.
Right? Instead, what happens is you go through it from time to time or realize you're looking for something that you don't have in the organized drawer.
Yeah.
And you go, that's what I need. That's what I'm feeling. That would really work well here. I need that piece of string, right? And so what I like about that image is that the things that you jettisoned over the years, or the things that you looked at and went, oh, well, this isn't really what I think about things, and you didn't totally get rid of them, you put them in that junk drawer, you might discover later are actually really useful to you.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. As long as your theology isn't just the junk drawer, I'm good to go with the analogy.
I hear you.
Okay.
I hear you.
When I look at my own changes over the years in theology and my attitude towards church, my attitude towards people, my attitude, all those things, for a long time I rejected the church, capital T, capital C church. And that included everything.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I really didn't know what to do with Jesus at all. Because Jesus was for me, Jesus had one of two directions. Either Jesus was kind of innocuous, or Jesus had sacrificed himself for me, and I didn't want anybody to do that. That was not something I wanted somebody to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, if I accept you in any way, then I now owe you forever, and I had no control over the fact that you chose to do that, right?
Yeah.
So I had to reject Jesus for a long time. And I think I've said before on the podcast, I'm not sure, but I didn't take communion for decades. I only started to be able to take communion again once I started serving communion. And then my theology around it changed, and it sort of changed back to what it had been when I was little.
Yeah.
But that's reclaiming something from the junk drawer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's like going, wait a minute. This actually fits really well into all these other things I've got, even though I threw it away a long time ago. And, when I think about my broader theology, anthropology, all the ologies, there's a real strong kind of Eastern, particularly Japanese, but not so much Indian, but Eastern, Japanese, somewhat Chinese Buddhism in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Judaism in there. There's a lot of animism in there. There's a lot of other stuff that has come to be part of the way I think about things, the way I see the world and experience the world. And there are also these things that were really central to the way I thought about God when I was a really young person, like before high school, that the only way I've been able to make sense of all the other pieces is to grab hold of those.
Oh, yeah.
So for me, Holy Communion, the Eucharist, is a sacrament. It is the body and blood of Jesus. I don't know what that means, but it's a real thing. It's not let's remember this. Throwaway. It's not a throwaway. But during the time when I had all of that in the junk drawer, if you had told me that I would have come back to that, I would have been like, no, it's ridiculous. Has no wah, wah, wah. So I love that idea. I love that image of that. I wonder if people with pristine theologies are trustworthy.
Ooh. That is an interesting question to pose. I think that people with pristine theologies don't ask questions.
Okay.
I think they don't believe that doubt is okay.
Okay.
And chances are, if their theology is really pristine, it's because it's what they've been told rather than what they've experienced themselves. Or maybe they frame all of their experiences within this particular theology worldview.
Right. So if I've got a particular very orderly worldview of any kind, theological or otherwise, if I insist that nothing lies outside of that, then I either have to twist my experience or twist somebody else's experience or discard a whole lot of things as not real or not legitimate or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
We see a lot of that right now.
Yeah, so I would say those people are not trustworthy.
I would tend to agree with you.
It doesn't mean that they intend to be duplicitous or intend to be manipulative or intend all those things. But when your world has to be narrowly shaped and everything either has to fit it or be discarded, I don't trust those people because I don't feel like I can say, I don't know, I like carrot cake, or these changes in my life grieve me. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like when people are what do they call it? Toxic positivity.
Yes.
Right. It's the same kind of thing. It squeezes out this breadth of human experience and this breadth of lived God experience.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So can you think of anything that's in your junk drawer right now that you can't imagine reincorporating into your theological life?
Well, substitutionary atonement.
Okay.
Which is an idea that I grew up with, which really is antithetical to everything I believe now.
Okay.
So I have a hard time believing I would ever take any part of that back.
Would you describe for our listeners what you mean by substitutionary atonement?
That apart from Jesus dying on the cross for me, shedding blood for me, as a substitution for me, taking on my sin, and all of this orchestrated by God, who sent Jesus here to do that, that discounts the divinity of humanity, if I can say it that way, but it discounts that we are designed and created by God in God's image.
Right.
And it paints God as a cosmic child abuser.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I see that.
So that I can't embrace that view of God. And I don't view Jesus as having been a puppet in all of this. I view Jesus as having complete agency, making choices, and for me, the power of the crucifixion and the cross comes from the fact that Jesus made those choices.
Yes.
Out of love for humanity.
Yeah.
So whatever happened after the cross, as we've talked about on this podcast many times, that to me is not as relevant as the events that led up to the cross and what Jesus did. So for me, substitutionary atonement, first of all, calls us all ugly and sinners to begin with.
Right.
So original sin. And then it paints God as this really horrible, capricious, ugly being that would sacrifice his son for some sort of a blood offering to appease himself. Right. And that none of that makes any sense to me anymore.
No, those are really interesting things to have in your junk drawer. Like things that if you pulled them back in, it would be such a change of the orderly part of your theology, if you will, that you'd have to, like, it would be a total 180 for you.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense.
But then, like, some of the silly things, like don't go to dances or don't go to movies or don't play cards or things like that. You know, the things that were just like...
Is this why we never play cards?
No.
No, okay.
But a lot of the, like, weird social, you know, restrictions that come obviously from a bygone era, but that are still kind of enforced, right? It's that kind of stuff. Right. That just seems silly to me. Like I don't understand where this fits within like any serious theology.
Okay.
I mean, I get the shaping of a life or the shaping of a character. You avoid these behaviors to make yourself more like Jesus or whatever. And I mean, if you believe that dancing in the kitchen makes you less like Jesus, then I guess then you shouldn't dance in the kitchen.
Well, and it might make some particular person less like Jesus.
Right.
So I'm thinking about, let's stay with playing cards for a minute.
Okay.
I'm thinking about the way that betting, gambling, or competition can pull us away from God.
Yes.
Because they become too big in our lives.
Yes.
Right? So if you're afraid that playing cards will lead people to have it be too big in their lives, then it sort of makes sense. Like I can't imagine this being in my junk drawer, but I'll go with it for a minute. Okay. So let's say that don't play cards is in my junk drawer. I can imagine if I discovered, for example, that when I played cards with others, I really wanted to drink. I really wanted to smoke. I really wanted to, I don't know, have sex with my neighbor, whatever the thing was. I can imagine saying, okay, wait a minute. These are habits that are stacked on my playing cards.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that out of my junk drawer, put it back into my orderly drawer because I have noticed that I have stacked habits that are really layered on top of this one. Mm-hmm. Like, I can imagine that.
Sure. Yeah, no,
I can see that with some of those more quote-unquote venial sins as opposed to mortal sins.
Right.
Okay. All right. So that might be something that, even though it's hard for you to imagine, something like that might be something you pulled out of your junk drawer and went, there's nothing biblical or whatever about this, but heck, if I want to be more like this, then this is a thing I need to like pay attention to.
Yeah, and to me at that point, it's almost more like I don't like myself very much when I do this. So I don't like what it does to me.
Okay.
I don't like how it causes me to talk to people or treat other people or the habits that I fall into when I do this.
Okay.
So for me, that kind of goes into that kind of the shaping that we do
Right.
around spiritual practice or, frankly, fasting.
Right.
Giving up certain behaviors in order to shape your character.
Right.
That, to me, would fall kind of more in line with that.
Okay.
And it may be something that you fast from for the rest of your life.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Or it may just be something that you have to give up for a season while you right-size it.
Right.
While you figure out why is this a problem.
Right. Depending on what's going on.
And then working through it. Right.
Right. Okay, so here's something that's in my junk drawer that as you're talking, I can imagine myself putting into my orderly drawer.
Okay.
So the concept of sin. I don't, as you know, when I teach or preach, I talk about sin primarily as context and relationship rather than as a particular act.
Yes.
So, for example, I don't know if I can say this on our podcast. You might have to change the rating on it for this one. If I talk about sex acts between a man and a woman as being okay, and that same sex act between two people of the same biological sex being not okay, but it's the same thing, I'll let everybody just use their imaginations for a moment. And it's okay if it's people of different sexes, but it's not okay if people of the same sex. Then the reason I talk about context is because there's inconsistency in what counts as sin.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's no such thing as a homosexual sex act.
Right.
There's a sex act done by homosexuals. That is people of the same sex having sex. Right? One of the reasons that I promise I'm going to get there, people. Promise. But one of the reasons that I don't like describing a particular action as sinful is because when we say that, what we're really saying is the context of this is what we call sinful.
Yeah.
So I don't like doing that.
Yeah.
But, promise I'm wrapping this up. Feel free to cut out this whole section. I'm wondering whether I could wind up pulling that idea that a particular activity is sinful out of my junk drawer and putting it back in my orderly drawer. For example, do I think this? I really do. I think that starting a war in order to gain money from it or status from it or fame from it is sinful. Period. I don't care who does it. Don't care what the outcome is. It is a sinful act. Now, part of that is because of the motivation behind it.
Right.
But part of it is randomly starting wars because you have nothing better to do with yourself is just wrong.
Yes.
So I can see myself, here's where I'm wrapping it back. I can see myself taking the idea of an activity being sinful and putting it back in my orderly drawer.
Ah, sure. I can see that.
But I don't have much stuff in my junk. First of all, my junk drawer is very, very light. I don't have much that I can imagine putting back in my orderly drawer just because there's not much that I just say, this is something I used to use all the time and I don't use it anymore.
And you don't use it anymore. Right. Yeah.
Did all that make sense? Or do you just need to cut that out and say, I think it was the drink. I think that I don't know what that was, but I think there's something in that. Things in your theological junk drawer may be things that you should just throw in the trash because they're never going to be useful to you or they're harmful. And sometimes the way you see the world or the way you see yourself or the way you see activities or motivations go in and out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's something about spiritual maturity that helps you discern when it should be back in and when it should be back out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm throwing that out. I'm trying to turn the spiritual junk drawer, the theological junk drawer, into something profound and deep and voice that narrates books. That.
Yeah.
I don't know. Thoughts?
Yeah.
I may have gotten totally off what you wanted to talk about, so I'm sorry about that.
No.
Let's talk about sex. Can we, please?
No, I think that I'm always going to have a junk drawer. And I think it's because of just the varied history of and the journey that my theology has taken.
Right.
Like, there are things about all of those various seasons that I still value. Whether what I took from that was just the experience of it, or the people that I shared it with, or what was going on in my own head and heart during that time, or what.
Right. And you wouldn't be here without those.
And I wouldn't be here without those.
That's something we both see life as. You wouldn't be here without those things.
Right. So as I'm thinking about it now, it's almost like, I'm going to throw in another metaphor. It's almost like it's a photo album. And it's like, I wouldn't go back and take out snapshots from periods of my life that don't seem to fit me anymore and put those in the trash. They're still going to be there. And I may not go back and look at them very often.
Right.
But even if I do go back and look at them, there's going to be some fond memories around some of that.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I'm never going to invite substitutionary atonement back into my theology. It's never going to be there. But because it used to be, I think it's always there. And part of the reason why it's always there is to remind me why it's not a part of my theology anymore.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So to go back to your original metaphor that you started this whole thing with, it's the reason we've got both 1st and 2nd Chronicles and both 1st and 2nd Kings in there, even though they tell the identical story from two different points of view. Mm-hmm. And we never go back and read them again, but darn it, don't they just shape the story coming up? I still have questions about Hebrews, but we can leave
That's
that for
another episode.
Jude, what the heck with Jude? Yeah, those are 2 other episodes. Okay, I'm good with that.
Listeners, what's in your junk drawer? You don't have to tell us, but we want you to think about it.
I want to go look in your dresser drawers now, because since we don't have one in the kitchen, it makes me wonder whether you've got one in your room.
CocktailTheology.com is where we are. Please do hit us up with ideas for cocktails, episodes, conversations, etc. We welcome your comments. We welcome your questions. Please bring them. Anytime.
Anywhere. 24/7.
That's right.
Email us. I started to just say something that would be just absolutely false. Please don't call me. I hate the phone.
Till next time. Bye.
Funny how the view can change, how life just seems to rearrange itself. No matter what it was, I don't know how it goes, but look, moving on feels pretty good. Moving on feels pretty good.
If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like and hit subscribe wherever you're listening right now. We welcome your comments, questions, and ideas for conversations and for cocktails. Please get in touch with us at our website, cocktailtheology.com. Cocktail Theology is a production of SFS. Our theme song is Moving On Feels Pretty Good, recorded by yours truly, Benton Stokes. You can find my music wherever you stream your favorite artists. Join us next Thursday for another new episode.